Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive. We're taking a stack of sources. Well, today it's actually one specific source, a transcript from a YouTube video, and we're going to plot the key insights for you.
Right. And our mission here is really to explore the specific events, the commentary described in this particular source. It focuses on a recent political confrontation, so it gives us a window into, how that specific event was framed by the video's creator.
Exactly. We're looking at what this transcript says happened at a protest, the reactions it decided to highlight, and then some related commentary it brings in about political figures, different groups. Think of it like we're examining the source's perspective on these moments, not the events themselves necessarily.
Okay, so let's jump in. Let's see what this source actually lays out.
All right, so setting the scene. The transcript starts by mentioning June 14th. It refers to it as No King's Day.
Mm.
And the core event it's describing is an anti-Trump protest. This took place in Atlanta on that day.
Okay, and according to this source, who actually showed up to this protest, it uses terms like crashed or infiltrated.
Yeah, the transcript says it was the Proud Boys who showed up.
Right.
And, it's interesting because the source immediately makes a comparison. It brings up the situation with Kyle Rittenhouse at that Black Lives Matter event a few years back. But it specifically notes a difference here.
A difference is that.
It points out that, unlike that event, there was no shooting by the protesters in Atlanta. So it's kind of framing the context right away.
Okay, so it's setting a specific tone there. What about the actual confrontation described in the source?
Well, the transcript details the immediate reaction the Proud Boys apparently received when they arrived. It says they were viciously booed and shouted down. Pretty strong language.
Okay. Viciously booed. Does it mention any, evidence or...
It does. It points to video evidence referencing a social media post from an account it identifies as Blue Georgia.
Ah, Blue Georgia. And does it say what that post showed or said?
Yeah, the transcript includes a specific quote attributed to that Blue Georgia post. It apparently described the individuals as, quote, some neckbeard Proud Boys.
Neckbeard Proud Boys. Okay, that certainly gives you a sense of the tone of that post, at least as reported here.
Definitely. And then this is where the transcript highlights a really specific moment, sort of an anecdote from the confrontation. It points to the 24-second mark of a video it's discussing, where a woman reportedly pulls down her mask and yells directly at one of the individuals, asking, does your wife love you?
Wow, okay, that's pointed.
Yeah. And the source itself, the transcript we're looking at, describes that moment as absolutely classic and so good.
So the source is clearly emphasizing that particular interaction, that personal kind of jab within the bigger political clash.
Exactly. It's selecting that detail.
So, moving on from the confrontation itself, the source then gets into some perspectives, different reactions. It includes a quote stating what it says was the Proud Boys' purpose for being there, according to one person quoted.
Right. What was that stated purpose?
The quote is, representing our country, our Western chauvinist values, which we love America. We're aggressively patriotic. We're here to support Trump, and we're here to protect conservatives.
Okay, so that's the quote included in the source. But the source doesn't just leave it there, does it?
No, not at all. It follows that quote with a very strong contrasting reaction from the source's narrator. It calls the individual quoted a chauvinist and a jackal punk, and explicitly says they are not a patriot or an American.
So that's direct commentary from the source itself, judging that statement pretty harshly.
Absolutely. And you see that clash in language, right? Western chauvinist values on one side, described by the source as being a jackal punk on the other. It really shows the opposing viewpoints the source is capturing.
Yeah, it highlights that rhetorical battle happening right alongside whatever physical confrontation there was. The transcript then brings up another specific reaction it found interesting. A video made by someone identified as Jeremy Dawson's wife.
Yes. And it describes the content of her video. Apparently she's crying and talking about, quote, what happens when Antifa destroys your life?
Antifa destroys your life. What else did her video show, according to the source?
Well, the source says she was explaining why we cover our faces when we're out there, and she called them, presumably the protesters or Antifa, demonic.
Okay. And how does the source, the transcript we're analyzing, react to that video?
It offers its own commentary again. It questions whether she understands the term Antifa, meaning anti-fascism or even fascism itself. And it goes on to suggest, well, maybe her husband believes in fascism, or white nationalist power.
So the source isn't just reporting that she made a video, it's interpreting it, questioning the motivations, the understanding behind her words.
Exactly. It's adding its own layer of analysis.
Okay, so beyond the immediate Atlanta event, the transcript then shifts a bit, right? It brings in commentary on political figures, specifically Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
That's right. And the core criticism presented by the source here is its view that she's lecturing California about crime, while Arkansas, where she's governor, is ranked, well, pretty low in safety, according to the source.
Does it provide any specifics on that ranking?
It does. The transcript cites stats it says are from a U.S. News and World Report. It claims Arkansas is 48th in crime and the fourth most dangerous state in America.
48th in crime, fourth most dangerous. Okay. And the source connects this to...
It connects this directly to what it calls MAGA of failed leadership. So it's building this narrative, linking specific politicians to these kinds of outcomes it sees as negative.
Right, building an argument through that connection.
And notably, the source also mentions including a photo. It shows Sarah Huckabee Sanders with Enrique Tarrio, the Proud Boys chairman.
Ah, okay. And what does the source say about that photo?
The source states it sees no shock in this photo existing, implying maybe a lack of shame on her part for that association.
So it's using that visual, that alleged association, to kind of reinforce its earlier points about different figures and groups being connected.
Precisely. It ties things together from its perspective.
Okay, so let's pull back a bit. What does this deep dive into this one specific source really show us?
Well, I mean, it's clearly a snapshot, isn't it? A snapshot of political confrontation, but filtered entirely through the lens of this one YouTube video transcript.
Yeah, you really see how events like the one in Atlanta are described and framed by this particular creator. How specific reactions, things caught on social media, are captured and maybe emphasized.
Right, and how different figures, different groups are linked together within the narrative that this source provides. It's constructing a particular story.
And you get those really specific details that the source chose to focus on, like that woman chat, "Does your wife love you?" or the crime stats comparison for Arkansas. Those are the bits that stick with you because the source highlighted them.
It definitely underscores how any source material like this, it's interpreting events to present a certain viewpoint. You're getting their take.
Absolutely. So maybe an interesting question to leave you with, based purely on what this source presented. How do the specific phrases used by the different groups the source talks about, phrases like Western chauvinist values from one side or Antifa destroys your life from the other, how do those specific words reveal the way each side frames the conflict?
Yeah, and how does that language reveal their own identity within that conflict, according to them?
Something to think about, perhaps, as you encounter different accounts of similar events out there.